and welcome to the Avalanche live stream by Oyster Creatives. I'm Grace Latter and I will be your host for this evening. Avalanche is a new play by Neil Salvage, and the company have been in a period of research and development, experimenting with integrating theatre and live music. So tonight you can see some exclusive footage of work in progress, and we'll be talking to the company and director. If you'd like to ask any of them a question, then email us on oystercreatives@gmail.com or any of our social media platforms. It's at Oyster Creatives on Twitter and Instagram, and oystercreatives.uk on Facebook. Before we plunge into that, let's have a little look at some of the company's previous work. With a warning of some strong language, here's a clip from their 2019 show, Oysters.
Yet here you are, a great composer.
A successful composer, not quite the same thing. The fact that lots of people have suddenly gone out and bought pianos, and my publisher has sold my ever-popular lullaby in vast amounts. It's made me very rich. It's made me great. In point of fact, that lullaby is an execrable little piece of sound that always depresses me, brings on the vapours. My symphonies, my concertos, my chamber works, my songs, even my dances, works that I've struggled and toiled to achieve, people don't seem particularly bothered about. But they all love the sodding lullaby. All those copies to be found in every parlour where the piano is played. I'm sick of that fucking lullaby!
I am joined by Neil Salvage, who we just saw playing Johannes Brahms. So Neil, you've written both of the shows that the company has produced. Tell us a little about the company's aims.
Well, it's partly a vehicle for the plays I'm writing. I'm very interested in contemporary issues, but strained through another era to give it to give it a universality, really. And I'm also very interested. I've done a lot of work. I used to be a musician as well, to fuse music and theatre, but not in the sense of musicals, not in the sense of opera, but the idea of music as a sort of soundtrack, but taking over the narrative when the actor has finished. So it's a blending of different disciplines, really, different media. And it can be very exciting when we get it right. We don't always get it right, but the last play, we had a violin who was playing the thoughts of one of the main characters, and that's where we really thought, oh, we're moving here.
Wow. Yeah. And what made you write Avalanche?
Well, I am very concerned about climate change, as are we all. I've been involved in Extinction Rebellion, and I've had a little experience of the denial that goes with people that are trying to say, yes, I'll do something about it, but not yet. So it's really, the play, there's comedy in it, but it's also a tragic comedy because it's about people delaying, denying, and trying to put money before the world, really. And we're all familiar with that.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely. So the subject matter of the play, you know, as you say, covers various issues that affect us today.
Yes.
So why have you set it in a 19th century Alpine town?
Well, as I think I sort of implied a bit earlier, I don't like to put plays on that preach. I like the audience to be entertained and put into a different era, and it's about it's like an allegory, or it's parallel, or it reverberates, and it allows people to think a little bit, seeing the thing in another context. Like we're talking about the planet going, they're talking about an avalanche which is over the town, so it's a microcosm of where we are at the moment, and it's also quite fun to develop Dickensian characters. Because I think we relate to them.
Yes, lovely. So let's have a look at one of the main scenes from Avalanche, in which Neil plays Burgermeister Reinhardt and actress Sabina Arthur plays geologist Professor Kirsten Oppeler.
Thunder my dinner! You've hidden it! Oh, This is insupportable. You're not insane, are you?
When the whole world is insane, sanity appears as madness. I am merely trying to help you concentrate your mind and afford myself some minor amusement. For what I have to tell you is anything but funny. All this has been to wake you up, Herr Bürgermeister. We all need waking up. This whole town, and you in particular.
Oh, what on earth are you burbling on about?
The urgent business.
Ah, yes, the urgent business. Yeah. Well, spit it out, quickly. My patience is all but exhausted.
It concerns the town.
Does it indeed?
To be serious, it is a great cause for concern.
Cause for concern? For the town? You jest, Professor. Things are going very well at the moment. We're making great progress. Fortune has actually really been smiling at us of late. This new national craze for snow-related sports has come just at the right time. I mean, who'd have thought that the humble means of winter transport, the use of the ski, would be taken up by the wealthier elements of the populace as a sport?
You have identified the root of the problem.
Problem? Well, quite the opposite. I mean, here we are, nestling under the snowy mountains, providing the most perfect slopes craved for by these snow sports people, and thus bringing great wealth into the town at all levels. Building of hotels, the development of restaurants, the providers of ski instructors, and everybody is doing very well out of it. From the property developers and the hotel builders such as myself, right down to the cooks and the waiters and the hotel staff, the clearers of the snow slopes, and the hunters providing venison for our hungry customers, all the vintners and the brewers, even those people who collect the summer fruits for storage in the winter. These are times of great plenty. The sunny uplands of abundance beckon us. It's a good time to be alive.
You paint a happy picture of bounty indeed, but there is a brooding cloud hanging over the aforementioned sunny uplands of abundance.
Brooding cloud?
I'm afraid so.
What brooding cloud?
A brooding cloud identified by one word.
What word is that?
Avalanche.
Avalanche?
Avalanche.
No.
Yes.
I simply do not believe you.
It is sad how denial travels through men like a virus.
I have lived in this town all my life, as is my father before him, and his father before him, and so on, and so forth, and never once has there ever been an avalanche.
All the more likely to happen then, from the perspective of probability, seeing as you have gone without one for so long. Listen, do you know what an avalanche really is?
Of course I know what an avalanche really is. It's where the snow tumbles and engulfs everything. Very rare in these parts.
Yes, a snowslide, and not so rare, I'm afraid. An event which occurs when a cohesive slab of snow lying upon a weaker layer of snow fractures and slides down a steep slope, typically triggered in the starting zone by a mechanical failure in the snowpack, also known as a slab avalanche, where the force of the snow exceeds its strength.
It's clear you've studied this in great detail.
It has been my life's work.
Yes, I thought it might have been.
Yes. After initiation, avalanches usually accelerate rapidly and grow in mass and volume as they entrain more snow.
Well, I don't doubt it, but how can you be so sure we're going to have one here?
My team and I have studied the terrain on your mountaintop in great detail.
Oh? And who asked you to do that?
Various interested parties.
Oh, yes? And what people are these, then? Other snow sports centres worried about the competition?
You should be grateful. My studies could be the cause of saving many lives.
No, I'm smelling a rat here. I repeat, how can you be so sure we're going to have an avalanche here? in this town?
Snow pits.
What pits?
Snow pits. Devices which enable us to predict avalanches. We dig these square pits about 5 to 8 feet under the surface to help us to predict whether the slope is likely to have an avalanche based on our observation of the order and quality of the snow layers. We have dug these snow pits in the slopes overhanging your town.
Well, how do these snow pits help determine the danger of such an eventuality?
As I have said, by examining the layers of snow revealed in these snow pits.
Well, how do you do that?
I use a paintbrush.
I'm sorry?
A paintbrush.
A paintbrush?
A paintbrush. The use of a humble paintbrush will tell us if the slope is likely to have an avalanche. If the higher layers are brittle, the slope is more prone to avalanche, and the layers on your slopes are as brittle as treacle toffee. Furthermore, given the geography of the place, the threat of damage and risk to human life is enormous.
So when is this avalanche supposed to take place?
We cannot tell. It may be years hence, it may be tomorrow. No way of knowing, only that the likelihood is great.
How very useful.
All building work, all human traffic across the slope must stop forthwith.
Do you realise what this means? Ruination. And how can we survive as a town with our means of support, our living taken from us?
How did you survive before the winter sports development?
A little agriculture, a little cheese manufacturing. We made a modest living by the producing of precision knives and swords. But our blacksmiths have long since gone. And most of our arable land has been used for the building of accommodation for tourists. Tourists who hold the key to the future prosperity of this town. Our farmers have sunk all their life savings into property development. Our craftsmen are being used for the interior decoration of the hotels. We cannot go back to how things were.
Do or die, eh?
Oh, what do you mean by that?
You are gambling on the lives of every man, woman and child in this town in the hope of speculative profit.
Not speculative at all. We've had hundreds of bookings for the winter. Money is and will be pouring in.
But if you cannot guarantee their safety, you are putting them all at risk, putting profit before people.
Yes, but...
And what is the use of profit when everybody's dead?
Yeah, now, hang on a minute. Let's just calm down, shall we?
I am perfectly calm, just disappointed and not a little disgusted.
Yeah, now, before we get all high and mighty and judgmental on our high horses, let's just look at this clearly, shall we?
I had thought I had been clear enough.
I mean, surely we can mitigate the situation and make it safer.
The safest solution is to stop all work and abandon the project entirely.
But we'll be ruined. We'll go into meltdown.
An unfortunate phrase, given the circumstances.
Yeah. Is there no other way?
I'm afraid not. Unless? Protective measures may be attempted, steel girders and the like to support barriers.
Is that possible?
Theoretically, yes, but very, very expensive.
Oh, my God.
The town of Oberangst in the Ostertal faced a similar problem a year or so ago.
So what did they do?
I believe they attempted to build one such barrier.
So what happened there?
They abandoned it.
Why?
The cost? They felt it was too expensive, and they thought the gigantic poles required ruined the aesthetic of the place. People thought it would put visitors off. There was much talk of profit margins eaten away, and in the end they left it. They took the risk.
Well, there's no speculation without risk. I've always said that.
I always understood that the risk in such circumstances should be purely financial.
Well,
It is one thing to put one's own life on the line for such a thing, but to expect others to do the same without permission or benefit is just plain evil.
what happened in Uberangst?
They built a holiday centre, which brought many visitors and much wealth into the town.
Well, there you are, you see.
A week ago, they had a major avalanche. The whole town was buried. Nobody was saved.
Welcome, Sabina. Tell us a little about your process as an actor.
Well, I start with reading the play as many times as I can before rehearsals and getting all the information that I can out of it about the character, period, and everything that I can extract from the text, and then supplement that with research. So for this, I looked at female academics in the 19th century. I tried to read a bit about avalanches, so I feel that I knew a little bit about what I was talking about. And then you start to think about who that character is. So you create a picture from that information, and then can work on what she wants and what she's doing to get what she wants, and you kind of plot that through each scene, what she's doing to the other character to get what she wants at every point, which we call actioning. And then when you get into rehearsals, you can play with that. That's a sort of a basic structure, and some things will change, some things will develop depending on what you get from the other actors and the director. And that's like, normally rehearsals are about a 4 or 5 week process, and with this we sort of filmed these streaming scenes about 5 days in, so it's the start of developing the characters and starting to figure out who they are, really.
Yeah, amazing. So how important would you say that inclusivity and diversity is in theatre?
Massively important. I think it's important everywhere, that especially in public life, that it reflects, that it represents, that, you know, that there's representation everywhere. But in theatre, I think it's really important that it reflects the world that we live in, and that we see ourselves on stage. Like, you know, everybody wants to be able to see themselves reflected on the stage. But I think it has to go beyond that as well, and it has to be throughout the structures of theatre, because it can be quite hierarchical. And even though we've seen more diversity on stage, and, you know, like, for example, like more black and brown faces on stage and screen, it's still like the people who have the power, and a lot of the time still white middle-class men, or sometimes women, but to a lesser extent. So I think that that sort of decision making and the power needs to be shared, and that's where theatre needs to go now, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And how important are the issues in Avalanche?
Really. I mean, Neil wrote it as an allegory for climate change, which I think he was speaking about earlier. And the urgency of it and the need to act is something that I think comes through really clearly in this play, and the Avalanche is a perfect allegory for that. So yeah, is that if I run out of time?
You're fine. You're fine.
So I think that we've got 10 years now. I think 2 years ago they said we had 12 years to do something, and now time's running out and not very much is being done. And I think this play really kind of highlights that, the importance of the way that we rely on governments and corporations to take action, because of course there are things that we can do as individuals and that we should do, but ultimately it's the governments who have to make those decisions to make the changes that we need.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Thank you so much, Sabina. And now let's meet a new character, Frau von Metzler, played by Eva Pope.
Would it not be possible to keep her away? Kidnap her? Obstruct her?
Too late for that, I'm afraid, madam.
Or ruin her reputation? So that her pronouncements lose any shred of credibility, yes. The local press would be ever ready to assist in such a matter, especially as I possess the controlling interest in that particular representation of the Fourth Estate.
Even your pliant and flexible organ of information would have difficulty with such a task. It would be extremely difficult to ruin her reputation given the time allowed. Besides which, she's known to be a woman of probity and integrity. It would be hard pushed to dig up any dirt on her at all.
One can usually dig up dirt on anyone, if one can but dig deep enough. And failing that, one can always make things up. People are ready to believe ill of anyone, the more so if they appear to be beyond reproach. That is how journalism works, at least in publications where I own the controlling interest. However, as you say, time is of the essence. We must act with the utmost speed. Whatever happens, we must keep this secret undivulged for as long as possible, or at least until we can get our own affairs in order. You must find a way to cancel or postpone that meeting.
I suppose I must.
As I intimated, I intend to start selling any investment in this project forthwith, and I suggest you do the same. Discretion must be our watchword, and you must invent a good reason for your broker, who I believe is the same as mine. Now, to avoid a market panic, it must appear that the assets we wish to shed with rapidity are available by great good fortune. The purchasers must be in a position where they can hardly believe their luck.
What of the people of the town?
We are in a damage limitation exercise concerning our investments. And we have the knowledge to effect this course of action. And I suppose, once the task is completed, our only option is to flee. The townsfolk must take their own chances. Our survival is dependent upon their being in the dark for as long as possible. Darkness makes everything disappear. But only for a short time, and it makes nothing go away. So we must act with speed. Before the inevitable light of truth shines out. We can never hide the truth for long. It is difficult to accept, so we pretend not to see it.
Eva, thanks for joining us. You are an actor with a high profile and a lot of stage and screen experience. How different was it working on this project from other stage and screen productions that you've been in?
Okay, well, for a start, this has been a lot shorter because I was brought in at the last minute. They'd already been rehearsing for a week and I came in for the second week because somebody had to leave. And so, yeah, it was very in at the deep end. So that was a shock. Also playing a character so much older than myself and so sort of beleaguered in many ways has been interesting. Yeah, I mean, I love doing experimental stuff and feeling it out, and I love all this, the way we're going to search through and through the piece to find what it really means, and that's a real excitement for me. So I've not really done much of that before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, you said about your character, you know, being much older, and how did you get into that character, and how did you become kind of the unsympathetic Frau von Metzler?
Well, again, I have yet to really delve into her, because really it was just learn those lines and get out there and follow your instinct. But I have played quite a few evil and horrible people before. I don't know why, but I do get them. And I think she probably is the most evil. I'm looking forward to really getting into that because she's so, she has no conscience. Her morals are, you can't find them. And she really is someone who I have never met before. I've never met anyone like her before. It will be it would be so fantastic to really discover what makes her tick.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is your connection to Oyster Creatives?
Oh, well, I've known the guys who set this company up for 30 years, especially Neil, who we met on a theatre job around 28, 30 years ago, and became firm friends, and with Lynn, his wife, and Nick is a friend of Neil's, and we just are really, really close. They're dear, dear friends of mine. And we've wanted to work together for so many years, and we have really strong ethical similarities, and, you know, what this play is about means an awful lot to me. I'm very, very passionate about all that sort of thing. So that's how I got involved, and I hope it means we do more together.
Hopefully. Yeah. Now, at the end of that clip, we heard von Metzler's theme, and we're joined by the two musicians who feature in Avalanche. And first of all, I'm going to talk to ELEANOR Ryan. Can we get ELEANOR? So this is your second outing with Oyster Creatives. As musical director and performer, how did you become involved with this company?
Oh, well, I first found out about the company, it would have been probably December 2018, I think, and I had just come back from living in Trinidad for 9 years, where I had worked with the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and we had set up an Academy for Performing Arts. And what was particularly unique about that academy was that we had a lot of interdisciplinarity going on. So when I did my master's degree, back in, well, a long time ago now, I was at the Royal Northern College of Music. We really were just doing music, you know, but in Trinidad we were working with theatre people, with music production, with dance, with people involved in the carnival. And so when I came back to the UK, I was really interested to look for projects that would have that sort of interdisciplinarity to them. And Oysters, they actually put in a little ad in the Royal Northern College of Music alumni newsletter. We're looking for a violinist who might be interested in performing a character on stage and playing excerpts of Brahms. And I thought, oh, this looks good.
That's you.
That's me. Yeah, that's how I got involved, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So is the work of a musician in a play a very different experience from playing in an ensemble or a band?
It is extremely different, but it does draw on a lot of the same skills, right? So when I've been on stage, particularly when I did the previous production about Brahms, there's this element of having, particularly when you're playing, like having to keep what the actor's saying coming through, like listening, and reacting all the time, and trying to sort of judge the balance, and being very conscious of the way in which the music hugely impacts the sort of the feeling of a scene. You can have a lot of influence as a musician with the actors, what's happening on the... and that's a little bit different from playing in an ensemble, particularly when, you know, the music's been written by someone else, and there's a different way of using the body. Because, you know, if I'm playing in a quartet, I'm here, I'm sitting on the stage, I'm not moving, I'm on my seat. But as soon as you put it in the theatre, a whole world opens up for what you can do. Yeah.
Amazing. So can you tell us a little about composing through improvisation?
Well, I mean, I suppose all composition comes out of improvisation to an extent, right? Sure. That's where all composers would start. But what's really exciting about this project is that we're in with the production right from the beginning, and myself and Sam, the other violinist who you'll talk to in a second, and Yoonji Kim, who was with us last week actually, or not last week, but in the original iteration, we've had to change musicians halfway through. We would sit and listen to what's going on, the discussions going on with the actor and the director. Who are these characters? What are they about? What's going on? What are the themes of the play? And all of that, I just sort of allow that to feed into my subconscious in a way, and then go off to another room, talk with my fellow musicians or other violinists about what kind of images come to mind. Who is this character? Are we going to create a background sort of thematic, evocative moment, or are we trying to enhance the character in some way? And so we just play around with things, and it's amazing how something will just emerge that seems fit. And I think we've managed to find some things, even though we haven't been working on it for long, we've managed to find some things that I think do work pretty well, yeah.
Amazing, brilliant. Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting with me.
You're
now
very
we're going to swap you over with Samantha. Now joining us is Samantha Brown, the other violinist. Hi, Samantha.
Hello.
So I hear you are still a music student.
I am.
What is it like being thrown in at the deep end with this theatre company?
It's been a wonderful, pleasing experience. So I'm stepping in from Yoonji. She commissioned me to be in this production, and it was really thankful for me because I've never done things like this before, and working with actors. And it's been a really enlightening and new experience of just creating the emotion and the setting, the background for, and just the tunes for the pieces. Like, it's really wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And how do you feel about, you know, the integration of music and theatre? Do you think it's something you'd like to do a bit more in the future?
Definitely, yeah. I really feel that when me and Eleanor, we were creating the tone and the emotion for the characters of the pieces that we were doing for Ulrich, who has this kind of jaggedy kind of not really knowing what he's doing, and we really did get that out in our playing, and just creating the different themes, or like the Metzler theme where it's very dark and sinister, and it really does, you really get a tone of what the characters are like, or when the professor, when she says the whole the avalanche has gone down and the whole town has died, and we create this mood that's really moving and emotional, and it really does help with setting the tone for the whole performance. Yeah.
Absolutely, I completely agree. So now we have our next scene, which features Eva Pope and Nicholas Collett as Ulrich Vola.
if you can manage sales by tomorrow morning, your commission will, as I said earlier, amount to a considerably larger sum than is usually the case. I am suggesting 20% of the value. Each hour of delay after 10 o'clock tomorrow morning will see your percentage drop by 1/2 point.
Ha! Know how to motivate a man. Carrot and stick, eh? We'll act with utmost speed. Seem desperate to sell, though. Could be deemed suspicious. Aware of some problem. Just that Herr Bürgermeister Reinhardt was in here not 10 minutes ago for the same reason. Wanted to leave the area. Family problems. Change of destiny. Need to sell up. Quicker the better. Fair enough. But now you too. Something not quite right.
Coincidence, nothing more. I long ago realized that the universe was conceived in chaos. Consequently, we inhabit a world of random and seemingly illogical events.
Ah, not a religious person, then?
Oh, I certainly believe in God. But it is a God with a singularly perverse and cruel sense of humour. A love of chance, a devotion to untidy and slapdash procedures.
Goodness.
Oh, I begin to wonder whether there is any goodness involved at all. It all seems like some bleak joke.
And coincidence is a byproduct of this strange condition?
Precisely.
See your point. I find it hard to believe in coincidence. On the other hand, find it harder still to believe in anything else. Also, Herr Reinhardt revealed himself as being in unstable state. Called emergency meeting of council earlier. And member of council, see? 2 hours later, cancelled it. Rum. Not himself.
He works very hard. I have no doubt, like myself, he is ready for full retirement.
Indeed. Pity. Both of you missing out on greater profits. Nevertheless, we'll prepare necessary documentation. Still time to contact clients with an interest in your wares before close of business. In fact, we'll have difficulty swatting off flies from around your particular jam pot. Forgive the metaphor. Communication, no difficulty with new device. Telephone. Leave it with me. Meet tomorrow, 10 sharp.
A satisfactory conclusion, then. Good day.
In the bronze.
Earlier today, I interviewed Amy BONSALL, the director of Avalanche. She has been directing the company from Chester via Zoom. Let's see what she had to say. We're now joined by Amy BONSALL, the director of Avalanche, with us via Zoom from Chester. Amy, what are the challenges for this project during lockdown?
The challenges have been substantial, not insurmountable necessarily, but substantial. The technology, when it works, is great. When it doesn't, can be quite tricky. Things like audio and being able to see in the room properly are really, really challenging. It actually completely changes the way you work and your relationship with the company in the room, which has been a bit of an ongoing process of development to try and make that work better. And as with any process like this, you always learn as you go along. So it's definitely been a big learning curve. And of course, none of us have any idea how long we might be working like this into the future. So I think it's been a great opportunity to just sort of try it out, see what works, see what doesn't quite work so well, and develop a way of creating new work under really challenging circumstances. And we have managed to do that, which is something that I think everyone should be really, really proud of.
Yeah. So you've directed both the productions of Oyster Creatives. What is it that attracts you to work with this company?
One of the things I really like about Oyster Creatives is that they've been incredibly understanding about myself as a parent, and that as a small company, we're able to adapt to individual circumstances of creatives, which is actually really empowering, because I don't know whether many people know, but there seems to be a huge drop-off of women of a certain age in the industry because of caring commitments and things. And actually to find small companies who are able and willing to embrace that and, you know, work around and with those challenges is actually really refreshing. So that's the first thing. But secondly, I've always very much enjoyed working with Nick, and then he introduced me to Neil, and I've greatly enjoyed that. And it's great to be able to see a project through right from the very beginning, rather than getting a script that's been done numerous times up and down the country over the last 50 years, to have something that's new that you can actually put a bit of your own creative stamp on as well is really exciting. And it's quite a privileged position to be in, really. So I've enjoyed that. And thirdly, I think it's great to be able to explore the boundaries of live music fused with performance, with theatre performance, and the challenges of people working across genre and across discipline is also something that's really, really refreshing. And it's great to see everybody on a learning curve and everyone learning and developing together. So that's not to say it doesn't have its challenges, it does, but through those challenges, you can create some really interesting and innovative work. And so that's really exciting to be a part of.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy. That's been great talking to you. Let's now talk to costume designer Maddie Sinclair. Maddie, how do the costumes in this production reflect the ethos of the company?
Well, in line with the ethos of the company, which of course is all about the climate crisis, climate chaos, in fact, I would say, I've adapted my original couture techniques to become a sustainable and less wasteful designer. So the key note to all of the costumes that we have seen tonight, they are all capable of being brought back to an original garment. So, and also they've been recycled. So, for example, Frau von Metzler's outfit was used in the bronze with very little changes for this one, but it was just perfect for the character, and why not, you know? And Kirsten's waistcoat was in fact belonged to my husband, Neil, and was brought down from a size 44-inch chest to the very tiny, delightful 32-inch chest. Perhaps I'm saying too much here. But the techniques I use a lot of hand stitching now, and everything is tacked so that it can be afterwards. I can pull the tacking stitches out and even save those, so they get wound onto a reel. So everything is as sustainable as it possibly can be, and it does, of course, affect the actual cutting techniques as well, if you are doing any cutting. I mean, basically, I'm trying to cut out on cutting altogether. So, for example, this thing is just a square of fabric with a hole cut, but it's not a hole. I can actually piece the whole thing back together and stitch it underneath to turn it back into a whole piece of fabric. So yeah, that's the ethos, sustainability all the way.
Absolutely, love that. And you mentioned Frau von Metzler's costume. How long did it take you to make it?
Well, it's a bit of a cheat, really, because the magnificent piece of the front panel on the skirt, that is actually authentic. I would say it's sort of Edwardian, if not slightly earlier. And I mean, ever since I could sort of feel fabric, basically, I've been collecting vintage pieces, and I've got a massive store at home. And that finally has seen the light of day. I had it for about 35 years put away until this production. So I gave birth to it, so it's properly recycled, and yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, unfortunately, all the threads that are holding the beads on are actually perishing, so I have to cheat and spray it with glue to make sure that they don't shed too much, you know. But it's a real labour of love, and what I've really enjoyed, I'm going to plug Craftivism here.
Go for it.
Which is all about slow sewing, and it's so good because you're actually making contact, you know, with the materials, and you're actually thinking your way through it. And it's not this sort of great rush, which is so common in theatre. You know, everything's slapped together in a great rush, where it's sort of put together and then thrown away, discarded. You know, this is about like treasuring and doing things in a slow, determined way. Yeah.
Wow, well, that's
So,
brilliant. Thank
that's
you
that.
so much. It's been lovely to chat with you.
Yeah.
So in the next scene that you're going to see, Professor Oppola meets the investment broker.
If you could come round this afternoon to sign the necessary documents.
We are all in mortal danger.
Property too?
You are fiddling while Rome burns.
Authorised to quote, low price, quick sale, 70.
You do know why he is leaving.
Desist from interrupting, Professor. Cannot hear conversation.
I said, do you know why he is leaving?
Family reasons.
And no doubt Frau von Metzler too, if she's in his confidence.
Off to Tuscany for her health.
We are going to have an avalanche.
One moment. We'll call back. An avalanche?
Yes.
How do you know?
I have made great study of it. The scientific evidence is overwhelming.
Nonsense. Unheard of in this area.
What is it about people involved in money-making that makes them blind to the rest of the world? That is the reality, Herr Wohler.
Reality?
Yes. It may not be what you want it to be, but it is the reality we now must face. Now, you can deny it, or try to will it away, or you can accept it and not waste any more time wanting it to be different, because time is what we do not have.
An avalanche, you say?
Yes, a very real and imminent possibility. The purpose of the meeting was to inform the council so they could put in place preventative measures.
Preventative measures?
Barriers, large ones, to support the weight of the deluge.
And Reinhardt cancelled the council meeting.
It would appear so.
And tried to keep the danger a secret?
Indeed.
And tried to liquidate and sell his assets and investments without telling anyone that their value would plummet?
Looks like it.
Absolute bastard!
Let's meet Nicholas Collett, who is both a performer and a lead producer of Avalanche. Nick, how easy is it to combine both those roles?
I've always thought about it as walking a tightrope, really. Every time you think you've got a bit nailed down, it's like jelly, it just skitters away. So you're constantly having to... you can plan ahead as much as you like, but I guarantee when you're producing and performing, you'll be in the rehearsal room, something will come up, you have to break off and you just have to go and sort it out. But what I have learned over sort of doing it for many years now is that generally speaking, because communication is so much easier, you can just go in the rehearsal room, you just leave everything outside, you just go in.
Brilliant,
Yeah.
great. And what plans do you have for Avalanche?
Well, the last time we kind of did this exercise with Oysters, which was the first show we did, we rehearsed a version of the show, and then we took it over to Adelaide Fringe, played it there, got some really constructive feedback from audience and critics, which was really useful. And then we got some money from the Arts Council of England to tour it. So we did a tour around England and Wales, about 17 venues. And again, more feedback from audiences, which has helped us sort of shape the next version of Oysters as a show, which we hope will be mid-scale. And we're really hoping we can get enough money to use a string quartet. That would be ideal. And I think that Avalanche will probably follow the same path. Again, I think it's a play for now, so we really have to get on and deliver it, and that's what we'll try and do.
Absolutely. So where is the company as a whole going next, do you think?
Well, several sort of outlooks. We are kind of quite heavily involved with our sister company, Cabana Productions in South Australia. So all of the stuff that Neil has written, we are hoping at some stage to be able to turn into screenplays and into movies. That would be the ultimate aim. But we also have 2 or 3 other projects which are kind of on the back burner, just sitting there waiting. One of which is called Big Trouble in Little Yalta, which is about a meeting between Stalin, Roosevelt and Churchill at the Yalta Conference. That's quite dark, but very funny. So that will hopefully have a life after we've got Avalanche on the road.
Great, amazing.
And now, of course, because we don't have that many bodies tonight, it's my turn to flip and interview you. Because, Grace, you've been handling all our social media for Avalanche.
I have.
So how important would you say it is now using social media to promote culture?
So important. I think social media is... I have a difficult relationship with it myself because I feel for all the amazing things it does, there's a lot of kind of difficulties as well. And I think it's, I worry about the effect it's having on the younger generation. But I think as far as sort of businesses and companies and projects go, I think it's amazing. It's a really great way to get the word out. It's free. It's, everyone uses it pretty much. And it's a really great way to kind of shape and form a brand or a company and just kind of put yourself out there as you want to be seen, and then kind of engage with people as well and get feedback, like you said about getting feedback for productions. Yeah, definitely.
And you've been very busy on social media for us, haven't you, with all the platforms. What would you like to try and achieve for the company?
Just everything that you said just sounds so brilliant. I would love to kind of take it as far as it can possibly go and just sort of follow. It would be amazing to kind of get more sort of filming done actually of the company kind of on its journey and kind of share that, because what I love about social media is you can see, it gives you a glimpse behind the scenes. There are so many kind of actors, performers and all sorts of people that you can see on social media, and you can see how they live their lives, and I think that's a really unique insight that we didn't have however many years ago. So I think that's a really valuable thing to have, particularly as a theatre company.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Back to me. So we're now going to look at the final scene for tonight's live stream.
You are just clever enough to make money, but dull enough to want it.
I had plans.
For what, fat man? Your greed is fat. A fat demon with a small mouth. Whatever you feed it is never enough.
What the hell are you talking about? Don't you want wealth?
There is no wealth but life.
Oh, that's easy for you to say, but profit...
Profit should never come at the cost of human blood. I don't know why I bothered. I came here to press you to do the decent thing. to abandon your useless flight and send out the town criers. Evacuate the people for the benefit of the town. That is your responsibility, is it not? Your function in public life as Burgermeister? But I'm wasting my breath. You are blind to all but your own useless concerns.
Useless?
Yes, useless. 2 days ago, I came to you with a warning and a solution, but you rejected it for your own selfish concerns and chose to sign the death warrant of everybody in the valley. As a human being, you are damned. You are finished. What is it?
Not very well.
Yes, you look very poorly to me. So you are finished then.
I think you might be right. I don't know what I'm doing. I've disliked, even hated myself for a long time now. What am I doing? What am I? Running away and leaving everyone in the shit. Just like Papa. Yes, I'm finished. I don't know when it all started, but as long as I can remember, I've tried to numb my mind, my heart, so I've no need to be broken. No need to bother. Perhaps we're all finished. Perhaps none of us deserve to survive this avalanche.
There is no excuse for who you are, is there? For what you and your like have become, what you and our species have made of ourselves. Putting profit before people, putting money before morality.
Dividends before decency. I know.
And putting your own trivial comforts before the unspeakable agonies of others.
I don't deserve to live.
Here it comes! The sound of Mother Earth laughing in our faces!
I am a fool! I've always been a fool. Thank you, Professor, for showing me what to do.
Wonderful. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left, so we're going to answer a couple of your questions from social media. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. For those of you who weren't able to make it this evening, the recording will be available on the Oyster Creatives YouTube channel for you to watch at your leisure. So first we're going to answer a question from Sam in the YouTube comments. They have asked, are these violin parts original compositions?
Yes, they are. Obviously, I think we got a little bit from Eleanor and Samantha earlier. So what's been happening in the rehearsal room is there's been a mixture of improvisation, responding to scenes kind of live while we're rehearsing them, and then maybe Eleanor and Sam going off to huddle for a bit and maybe scoring a bit, maybe leaving some of it quite free. So we're really interested, and that will be if we've got another week of R&D, that would be the next push, would be to see exactly what would happen, because we've been having such a lot of exciting developments, finding out relationships between the music being improvised, playing off the characters, and how the characters respond in turn to that other voice, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. So our next question is from Erin via Facebook, and they have asked, how did living and creating through the pandemic and lockdowns change your instinct once back in the rehearsal room / filming the scenes?
Okay, well, it didn't just change our instincts, it changed everything. I should explain, we had a week of R&D on this in January, and then we had to pause because one of the company tested COVID positive. So we all had to go into self-isolation. And then as soon as everybody was able to come back to the rehearsal room, we then lost a couple of company members because of other contracted work. And so we've had to kind of reignite the process fairly swiftly. How's it changed instincts? Well, working with a director who's on Zoom is kind of that presents its own challenges, because we've had to learn a kind of a new rubric, if you like. So Amy can only see a portion of the room. So she needs everybody to, if we have to stop for somebody to speak, they have to come into shot so that Amy can actually kind of engage with them, and then we can carry on with the rehearsal. So it does present some challenges, but actually what's really interesting is that the company all been really kind of forgiving, and it's really brought us together as we've kind of worked through those challenges. So that what would be next would be kind of looking to be in a rehearsal room where we can all be together and work normally.
All right, well, that's all we have time for. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you all hopefully soon.